Mary Catherine Ham, Brian Wilson, Brian Neiman, today's newsmakers, and you, the Morning Majority. 105.9 FM. And AM 630. WMAL.
8:07 on the Morning Majority. Mary Catherine Ham here. Brian Wilson and Brian Neiman out for the day, but we got Jimmy Pethokoukis from American Enterprise Institute here.
That's right. Listen, for this final hour, just for the final people listening now,
right?
I've buttoned the top button of my shirt.
Oh my gosh!
It's been unbuttoned the whole show. Now it's buttoned.
He's shaming me further with his well-dressedness, and here I am in my sock feet. But we have Chris Moody on the line from Yahoo News. He is in Michigan, where there are delegates at stake today, and it is a tight race. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. Great to be here.
Hey, glad to hear from you. Let me ask you the most important question. I hear that you've been tracking how long it's been since Rick Santorum has worn a sweater vest.
I have, and this would be his 8th day not wearing a sweater vest. Now, I haven't seen him yet this morning, but I'm on my way, and I'm going to report it on Twitter the minute I do. You know, I'm starting to think that he's given it up for Lent, but I'm not sure yet. I tried to ask him, but he wouldn't answer me.
Is that an unprecedented sweater vest hiatus?
Well, from what I can see, it is. Some people say, well, you know, when he was in the warmer states in Arizona, he wouldn't wear it because, you know, it's warm, you don't want to wear the sweater vest. But it's cold in Michigan, and he is not wearing it anymore. In seriousness, I think he's starting to do it because it makes him look more presidential in the suit as opposed to the vest. But we'll see if he comes back.
Will Mitt Romney adopt the sweater vest as a counter to seem more casual and relaxed? Is that a possibility? Is there speculation out on the hustings on that issue?
Well, that'd be a very bold move, and I don't know if Romney can handle that kind of thing.
All right, let me ask you about Michigan. There has been talk, it looked a couple days ago like Romney might be the safe-ish bet, that momentum was moving in his direction, but it looks like maybe in the past day or so of polling, perhaps it's moving back towards Rick Santorum. What does it look like for tonight? Maybe just a late night?
Well, what we see is a similar story. You have an anti-Romney or a Romney alternative candidate surging in the polls, even ahead of him just a couple of weeks before the election contest. And then you see several weeks of a huge ad campaign against that campaign, against a guy like Newt or Santorum, run by the Romney people or the Romney super PAC, and then the poll drops just a little bit. So right now we're looking at Romney just a little bit ahead. I believe in some polls still within the margin of error, but it's a close race. It's a toss-up. It's not like we're back in New Hampshire and we know Mitt Romney is going to win. Anything could really happen tonight.
I haven't heard as much about ads in Michigan as I have in other primary states. Is there a reason for that? Are people tired of talking about them? Are they more low-key, or what's the deal?
Well, I think they are a little bit more key. Michiganders are actually not used to seeing a lot of primary ads. By the time we get to this point, traditionally, we really don't have much of a race, and I think a lot of them are actually kind of surprised that everyone is focused on Michigan this time around. But they're here. You can hear them on the radio. You see them on TV. There's also ads running in Ohio, nearby, and I don't think it's going to let up.
Well, I'm curious, what would be the likely Romney spin if he should narrowly lose? I mean, how would they turn this into some sort of positive turn to a victory in some fashion?
Well, that's a really good question.
I mean, everyone says the guy wasn't as cataclysmic.
Yeah, I mean, again, it wouldn't be like New Hampshire, but he is the native son here. He was born here. They'd say it's a long race, and we have what it takes to make it through the end. They probably play up the electability, going forward, but it would definitely stretch out the race. And I know that Romney and his people are very tired, just physically, from all of this. So they really want to win this thing just so they can go home and have some rest before facing Obama if he is the nominee.
Well, Santorum's team the other day playing the expectations game saying, look, we've already won because this is Mitt Romney's home state and we're running really well against him, maybe within a couple points and possibly beating him. So win or lose, we've already won. Do you think that's the case, or do they have to do more?
Well, I think if Santorum loses here in Michigan, it's not over for Santorum. I mean, it's close. I think that pushes him forward pretty strongly. With Super Tuesday coming next week, Santorum's making a very big push in Ohio and Tennessee, and then we have a Washington State contest right before that. So that's a big opportunity for him to pick up some delegates there. Interesting. There's robocalls here in Michigan, run by the Santorum campaign, calling Democrats to tell them to vote for Santorum. So we'll see if there's any crossover here, because you don't have to be a member of the party to vote in the primaries here.
Now, as to those robocalls, has there been any counter by Romney? Because remember, Santorum was saying Romney had adopted the language of Occupy Wall Street, talking about the rich and the 1%. But it seems to me that those robocalls, which talk about Romney's billionaire friends, that's Santorum adopting the language, right?
Actually, Santorum has adopted the language. He has a line that he says on the campaign trail that says, I'm for the 100, I'm a 100%er, not a 99 versus 1. So even in his countering, he talks about it as well. But I haven't heard of any Romney robocalls just yet, but sometimes it takes a while for those to trickle up toward us, because the people who live here send it to reporters,
Well, you've been at some of the rallies. What is your sense of the possibility of Democratic crossover? Do you meet people? Do you meet Reagan Democrats and the like in these crowds?
Well, they're absolutely here. But one of our reporters at Yahoo, Rachel Hartman, did a great piece this week talking to a lot of these people to find out if Michigan folks are worried that Democrats could try to mess with the primary. And I think the consensus is that maybe some of them will, but it's really not going to have much of an impact.
Is there some Midwestern nice at play where they don't want to mess with other people's primaries?
There very well may be. People here are extremely nice.
Well, and I have heard that if you're a Democrat and you go and vote in this primary, you automatically it defaults your voter registration to GOP.
Oh, I have not.
Do you know if that's the case? That's from Jim Garrity at National Review, so I will double check on that, but I have heard that that's the case, which means it may raise the price a little bit for going out there and getting involved.
Right. You got to come out with a little blood on you if you want to make it happen.
Right. There was a surprise guest at one of Mitt Romney's rallies, and I would dare say most people would be surprised about these two.
Not Pat Boone.
No, these two performing together. Who was there?
That was Kid Rock.
Yes.
Last night, and
Thanks for selling
Kid
that.
Rock. Yeah, he is. He actually played at Barack Obama's inauguration back in 2009. He comes across, though, as a little bit more conservative in his policy views. However, let's just say he didn't play Ball with the Ball, the Bang to Bang Chitty last night. A clean song. He only played one song, and they were done. I think Mitt Romney was taking absolutely no chances. There. He was just being very, very careful.
He's not an explicit supporter. He was just there to do some playing for the people of Michigan. Was that the sort of the thrust of it?
Absolutely. Kid Rock is a local. He's a national celebrity, but he's from here in Detroit. And I think it was a net win for Mitt Romney to have him. It revved up the audience. It got some media play. And I think it was a great event that they threw after they had a couple of fumbles, when they did the event in the stadium in Detroit.
Right.
That was a good win for them.
Well, I dig Kid Rock. I think he's a
patriotic. They should have Kid Rock in the stadium. Yeah. Might have sold the place out.
I'm sure they would have. He's a patriotic guy, and I like a guy who's willing to perform at a Republican rally, even though he's a celebrity. It can be a risk, so that's kind of cool. Well, thank you very much, Chris Moody, for being here. We're going to keep our eye on what's going on in Michigan, and we'll get some updates tomorrow with the big story.